China and Iran will cheer if Ukraine fails, warns Lord Cameron.
Allows Ukraine to fail and Vladimir Putin to succeed, Lord Cameron has warned. Speaking at a conference in Brussels about the future of the NATO military alliance, the Foreign Secretary said there was the possibility of an incredibly bright future where Putin failed in Ukraine and Volodymyr Zelensky's country was able to recover its territory. However, Lord Cameron went on to warn, there is another future for NATO, for the West, for Britain, and that is one where we allow Ukraine to fail, we allow Putin to succeed, and the celebrations will be held mostly in Moscow and of course in Beijing and in Tehran and in North Korea. And that is a very bleak future, not only because I believe other European countries would be at risk, but all of the world would look around at America and Britain and the European powers and wonder how willing we were to stand up for our allies, how reliable we were as an ally. Even the absolute key to NATO of Article 5, allies in Europe would start looking to each other and wondering how much they could really trust each other when they said they would stand up and stand by and oppose aggression. You can join the conversation in the comments section here. 6:11 p.m. BS. That's all for today. Thank you for joining us on another eventful day in Westminster and beyond. My colleague Jack Maidment will be back tomorrow to guide you through all the latest. 5:57 p.m. BST. British aid worker killed by inhumane act, says family. A British aid worker was killed by an inhumane act following an Israeli strike on a convoy, his family said. John Chapman, 57, who is said to have served in the Royal Marines, died in the bombing of an aid convoy in Gaza on Monday. His family said in a statement, "We are devastated to have lost John, who was killed in Gaza. He died trying to help people and was subject to an inhumane act. He was an incredible father, husband, son, and brother. We request we be given space and time to grieve appropriately. He was loved by many and will forever be a hero. He will be missed dearly." Steve Bird and Alex Barton have the story here. 5:41 p.m. BST. Tories on course to suffer even worse result than 1997. The Conservative Party is on course to suffer an even worse general election result than in 1997, according to a major new poll which suggested Labour could secure a 154-seat majority. A YouGov projection based on a survey of 18,761 people carried out between March 7 and 27 showed Labour would secure 403 seats if a contest were held tomorrow. But the Tories would be in a distant second place with just 155 seats. That would be even worse than the 165 they secured under Sir John Major in 1997, when Sir Tony Blair swept to power in a Labour landslide. The Liberal Democrats are set for a significant parliamentary comeback, picking up 49 seats including the Godalming and Ash constituency currently represented by Jeremy Hunt, the Chancellor. Reform is not on track to win any seats at the next general election, the projection shows, although Richard Tice's party is set to win 12% of the vote. 5:19 p.m. BST. Lord Cameron, see 2% defence spending as a floor, not a ceiling. Lord Cameron said NATO faces threats from Beijing among other countries and NATO has a role to play in dealing with those threats. He added, "What will determine the success or failure of NATO in the future?" Now of course there's some very simple treasurer-like technical answers to that. I think the success will depend on more and more countries reaching 2%, and more countries seeing 2% as a floor and not a ceiling, and we see such great progress there. A large part of the answer will be how capable NATO is of modernizing all our armed forces and making sure their compatibility. A lot of NATO's success will depend on when we make Ukraine a member. But I would say the biggest determinant of success, and it goes back to what I said right at the start, is does it have a relevance to my life? I think we have to win the argument for NATO all over again with a new generation, a generation that can see, yes, look at the threat Ukraine has faced from Russia. But I think we need to go back to a more foundational argument. Fundamentally, the greatness of NATO is it allows countries to choose their own future. When the Iron Curtain fell, Poland recovered its ability to govern itself effectively. Its economy was 3 times the size of that of Belarus. Today its economy is 10 times the size of Belarus. There is no reason Ukraine is many times poorer than Poland, and it's this ability that NATO gives countries to choose to be democracies, to choose to have rights, to choose to become an open trading system and have trade relations with other countries.